Simplicity is such a treasure, very few could afford. It is simplicity in privileges that finds a person of a great character. It is said that if you want to judge one's character, give him power. If we are entitled enough to position one with a lot of power, with the monetary power of position where the person is in control of having an organization at his disposal, wherein people are supposed to be submissive to him, the real essence of our character comes out. So being in that power of position where people could be so subservient or submissive to you puts you at the whim. And being simple under that circumstance, under the influence of the position of power, is not easy, is not very conducive place to be simple. But often we find people who have made huge accomplishment by their own effort, at times having stumbled upon the face of many failures, have learned one thing in common, and that is to be at ease with all privileges of life. Once they reach that stage of life, they become very sorted out as a human being, and as a result they become very simple, because they have decoded themselves, they have decoded their traits and their dispositions. They may not have been able to overcome them, but at least they are able to create a gap between who they are as a human being and what kind of power they are in possession of. But at the same time, that does not affect the person whom they have evolved to become as a human being over a period of time, having had set up setbacks and failures, which have actually positioned them as a grander, better version of themselves, as a person of greater achievement, but with ease and at ease with all luxuries and power, position at his disposal. So that comes after decades of experience, and it's not easy. And the reason why it's very important to hear these words is the fact that we may be much more educated, qualified, trained enough to be in better position than the person who has occupied the seat of authority for eons and eons, for many decades and decades. But you have been educationally equipped, more trained, have much more caliber than the position there, have not achieved it. Why? Have you ever wondered why? Just Being qualified for a specific job and position is not good enough for you to have the ennobling experience with that power. Because if the power is given to you, the change in character, the change in the texture of your behavior is eminent, which does not affect the greater man. In fact, they become much more humble. But they never try to become, and they must not try to become humble, never ever. It's just that once you know that everything that there is comes with a certain code and conduct, you start orienting yourself with that pattern. That is the thing. That is the thing that few know of, and who know are at the power position. No matter how qualified you are, no matter which institution you have been to, which prestigious university you have been trained by been to, it does not matter. But as a person who you are, having been refined, chiseled by the circumstances, as you mold yourself, everything around you gets molded according to your mold. That's the power you have. You want to be grander, larger than life, because you want to expand yourself at all times. It is a human desire to expand. There's nothing wrong in it. So expansion of yourself does not mean running away in the Himalaya and running away from the responsibility. In fact, it is just the other way around. It is about getting totally overwhelmed at the same time. Nothing could affect you. In fact, you don't feel overwhelmed. The whole world may feel like, oh my God, it is such a huge, colossal task. But this person is totally unperturbed and calm and composed. How does he maintain such composure under such overwhelming setup? How does he manage himself to be so calm? It will startle the masses, whereas you exactly know the pattern. There is a pattern that everything follows. My dear friends, there is a power that comes with the blessing, and there is a grace in that position. There is a grace in having you positioned as someone significant. It has come after many years, and at times not years but many decades, not even decades, after many lives of evolution as you as a human being. So evolution process takes time. That's why power and position shall not be entitled to everyone. If it is, there will be a catastrophe in the world. The world already reels under such a pressure. At times we feel the pressure. Someone's power is being misused to ruin life of many great ones, many good souls. So that could also be taken as someone who is greater but doesn't know, but needs to be chiseled again. So you see how it works? So even if you're going through a problem, you are being chiseled, you are being cleansed of the blemishes, you are being taken to the light that you require at this point in time. The experiences around you are not so conducive to your growth that you think, that only you think, because of the prevailing compelling circumstances which does not feel good. So if you are just operating from feeling good factor, like if I appreciate someone, of course that person will feel good, but that will not help anyone. That is not how the great characters are made. So it's very important that if you find that, oh, this person, he's such a great character, but he's being put down or he's no good, it means that there is certain phases of life that he has to pass through. And he is being taken care of, nothing to worry about. Because that's how the greater life is created, greater dimension of life is crafted. So this body is sacrosanct. Oof. And in this body lives an effulgent light because of which we exist. So that has to be expanded, and the only way it can be expanded through the profoundness of the experiences that you go through in life, through the profoundness of everything that you go through in your life. How profound your experience is will decide the future of yours. And that means at this point in time, how intense this moment feels to you, my dear friends. How intense your awareness is, how expanded you are at this point in time is deciding your life, your future. This is so much the truth, but we are so chained by our own disposition. We do exactly know what we must do, but we end up not doing so. Such a tragedy being a human. Such a tragedy. Everyone has everything, but lives are so diverse, so different, so much of contrast in so many ways, so peculiar, so unique in its own way. So life must be celebrated in the vision of the Creator, as we all are an integral part of the creation.